The COVID-19 pandemic has affected all small businesses in the U.S. Virgin Islands, but there is help to move your business forward. The Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center is available to assist entrepreneurs and small businesses. The VISBDC is the territory's #1 resource for small businesses and is sustained by the University of the Virgin Islands and the U.S. Small Business Administration. The VISBDC is nationally accredited and provides one-on-one advising, business education training, and technical assistance at no cost. Attend workshops by experts from both the public and private sectors. From idea generation to exit strategies, the staff at the VISBDC are ready to assist you. So don't wait. Call, email, or visit them on the web at www.visbdc.org and Facebook, or simply download their mobile app on the Apple or Google Play Store. Just search VISBDC. Discover how they can help your business grow and succeed.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the New and Existing Businesses How to Navigate DLCA.vi.gov webinar. We have collaborated with DLCA as they demonstrate live how new businesses and businesses updating and renewing their business licenses can do this as smoothly and swiftly as possible. So today's presenter, we have Director of Licensing, Horace Graham, and he's going to go ahead and share his screen and pull up the PowerPoint, and I'll introduce him formally. Director Graham is a native of St. Croix. He received his education through the Virgin Islands Public School System and at Cornell University. After returning to the Virgin Islands, he served in substantive positions at various departments of the government of the Virgin Islands, to include the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Property and Procurement. Director Graham joined the staff of the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs in 2007. His career highlights include service as Chief of Contracts and Procurement, Assistant Director, and then the Director of Division of Licensing at the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs. Director Graham has also served for many years as Chairman of the Virgin Islands Taxi Cab Commission. I want to take this time to say just a friendly reminder to put your questions in the chat, and they will be addressed by Director Graham either in the chat or later during the question and answer segment. A copy of the presentation is available upon email request to info@visbdc.org. We encourage you to take a few minutes after this training to fill out the survey that let us know how we are doing. So, Director Graham, the floor is yours.
Unmute. Good morning, everyone. And this is a perfect time in the morning to share some very vital information. We look forward to spending this time together for the next couple of minutes, where we could just talk a little bit about the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs. As you know, the presentation is entitled New and Existing Businesses and How to Navigate the DLCA. And specifically how to navigate that, our website, which is our web portal that we use to process and issue both new and renewal business licenses. I want to say thanks to the SBDC for this wonderful opportunity, and also thanks to our leadership team at the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs and our staff and team that really makes the difference. All of the team are very strong individuals who are talented in many ways, and also are committed to service the people of the Virgin Islands, and especially the business licensing community. So I want to say a big up to all of them. And I want to say thank you also to the entrepreneurs of the Virgin Islands that have taken the challenge of going forward, especially during this pandemic, to really make a difference in their own lives and in the lives of the people whom they serve. And so we want to jump right in and sort of get tracking on the presentation. I want to recognize that the leader of our department is Commissioner Evangelista. I'm not sure if he's going to be joining us today, but I know he has a significant passion for educating and He states it like this. He said, we'd like to educate before we regulate. And this forum, this opportunity is just one of those situations that we actually embrace in sharing with the community, educating as part of our guides. Our mission is the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs is to issue, it has the mission to issue business and professional licenses, to assist, educate, and protect consumers, and to ensure that all businesses, that business entities, individuals, comply with the licensing and consumer protection laws of the U.S. Virgin Islands. And our motto is serving businesses and assisting, educating, and protecting consumers. And we really internalize that. I look forward to today's presentation. Again, my name is Horace Graham, the Director of the Division of Licensing. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I could see that one of our team members, Ms. Myrna George, is also on. She's our Deputy Commissioner who actually engages very hands-on in terms of understanding and dealing and assisting with our clientele, specifically on the island of St. John, but also the District of St. John and St. Thomas. So we want to thank her also. Well, I'm going to jump right into it. One of the things that we want to make sure that you understand, if you are seeking to participate in the business license or the business in the U.S. Virgin Islands and want to be a part of that business community, then the law specifies that if you are going to be engaging in any business in the U.S. Virgin Islands, that you must be licensed. Title 27, Section 301, in its appropriate parts, indicate that every person who is engaging, who seeks to engage in business, must be, as a condition precedent, must be licensed. Now, the DLCA doesn't issue all the licenses in the territory. There's some activities that fall outside of our jurisdiction, and that would be if you are applying for some other types. Maybe you might be interested in the security industry. Well, if that is the case, then you apply for licensure through the Chief of Police, the Department of the VIPD. So there's a number of opportunities there for individuals and others, but those areas that fall under our jurisdiction, if you're going to be engaging in business, if you're going to be consulting, if you're going to be doing carpentry or painting or landscaping or any variety of activities, you must obtain a business license. And what I'll be sharing with you today will help you in that pursuit. We continue, Title 27 also, which is our organizing and authorizing legislation, allows and mandates that we issue business licenses, but that there's an application process that's created. Back in 2010, we decided that it's critical that we make sure that we beef up our online presence, and we launched the fully automated, at least to the extent that we could at the time, online processing system, and which I'll be walking you through. But we engage with several agencies in that process, and by law, it includes the VIPD, historic preservation, that's zoning, planning. We also connect with the Department of Health, the Internal Revenue Bureau at one point. But the point I'm making is that the DLCA is basically the organizing entity where you will come into us, and then we will express to you what are the various agencies that you may be required to, that we may need to query, or you may be required to obtain clearance from, okay? And so we have Title 27, Section 303, recently amended, has given the DLCA a mandate to issue these licenses within 10 business days. And it gives an individual an opportunity who seeks to expedite that process to pay a fee of $200, and we shall issue that license within 3 business days. But it also places some restrictions, and those restrictions has to do with what areas must be accomplished before that license can be issued. So if you're applying for a license, the wisdom that the important part of this is that you should have your documents in order. For instance, we cannot issue you within 10 days or within 3 days, we cannot issue you a business license if you register as an LLC, if you indicate that you're an LLC, let's say, and you don't have your corporate documents already vetted through the Lieutenant Governor's office, right? The corporations and trademarks. So there's some things that you may need to take care of in advance. And if you're interested, you can simply call our office and we can walk you through that process to make sure that by the time you submit your application, that it's smooth sailing and we can move it through the process relatively quickly. Okay. And so these are just the same restrictions that we said, that the mandatory component has to do with you registering with the Lieutenant Governor's office and annually updating your business license application. Well, not your business license application and your registration with these various entities. When we go through the process, when you connect with our department, we also, what we do is we provide you with a checklist that helps guide you through the process of the license application. One of our very talented and effective team members, they will contact you and they will have a conversation with you just to make sure that the area that you're trying to identify is clearly identified within the scheme of license categories that we have. So you may select the license category, you put a description, and that description warrants maybe another license category or maybe a different license category. And one of our team members, very, very knowledgeable in the area of the license categories and so on, they will contact you and help to guide you through that process. On the screen, you will see that the checklist covers a number of areas. We have the Division of Corporations and Trademarks that you will have to get information from. If you are registering as a LLC, a corporation, a PLLC, or any sort of corporate entity, a partnership, you may want to obtain a trade name. You will need to get that through them. We also query the VIPD for criminal history check, DPNR for zoning, and building permits. We've been very critical part. There are many individuals who may be applying for things like nightclubs, or maybe they want to have a bar or restaurant. If the use of that building was not what it was prior to you obtaining it, you may have to register with the building permits so that you can get a change of use permit, and that's something that you may want to follow up with. And so we queried DPNR. We also queried the Department of Health for applications that are health related, whether it's a doctor's office, a hotel, a restaurant. These areas we connect with our partner sister agencies, and they also contact you and schedule inspections. We also integrate with the Virgin Islands Fire Service. They have access to the site. They also you also may need to obtain a fire certificate, depends on where you are, and the checklist would identify as to whether or not that is a requirement. And then we ask for some other supporting documents, and I'll share that with you as we go along. Maybe photo ID, we need to know who you are and have a government issued photo ID on file. And if you are if you have a TIN or EIN number, we'll ask for you to provide that. If you are applying as a partnership, if you are applying as the LLC, we recommend that you go ahead and register and obtain your EIN number. It is something that would be beneficial to you in the long run. So please, whenever you're applying, and even right now, the IRS has opened up the opportunity for sole proprietorships, individuals. Instead of utilizing your social security number in business transactions, you can obtain a EIN number and utilize that instead. And so we present the opportunity for you to utilize that number in your business license application. And so get into the meat of the matter. One of the things that we want to do is walk you through the process, give you a step-by-step through the process of applying for a license. The website is www.dlca.vi.gov. It's the location that you could go to. If you're not registered, you can click on the registration button, and you will follow the prompts until you, by entering your email address and maybe generating a unique password that you will recall. And that's the basic steps in you being able to register and gain access. At this time, I'd like to let you know that as we walk through this process, I'm going to open the opportunity for you to go ahead and either raise your hand. The moderator could call on you or acknowledge you. And I'll be happy to answer any questions as we go along. And so I'm going to quickly do a transition to the next steps. I want you to look at, we'll share with you how you access our website. And let's go to share. All right. Can I get a little feedback? Is the screen visible? Okay, maybe a thumbs up. I believe it should be visible. Okay, perfect. All right, thank you. So this is the main landing page that you will come to when you visit the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs website. Again, it's www.dlca.vi.gov. And at this site, it gives you several features, several opportunities. You can get some information regarding the department. On the business license, there's a little spiel about steps for obtaining a business license. Let me just take a minute to tell you a little bit about what happens here. We can actually, we give you the opportunity for you to verify a business. So if someone is conducting business, you are connecting with someone, or you're trying to find a particular business, someone told you that they're conducting business as a particular name, you can use this search feature here to just look up that business, find out if they do exist. Please be advised, though, that when you search this database, it only will return current businesses. So if a business is delinquent or somewhat delayed in their renewal of their license, it may not show up here, but always feel free to contact the department just to ask as to whether or not what's the status of a particular business if you do not see it there. Sometimes individuals would tell you, present to you as a business owner, you may want to do business with someone else and you want to confirm that they are indeed a licensed entity. You can use the website here to verify that. Okay, so that's just a little soapbox moment. I'm going to jump back into it. So what are the steps? So we're going to go ahead and say apply for a license. That's once you've determined that you want to conduct business. And that apply for a license feature here lets you get you into the main section of you creating an account. If you have already created an account, if you've already created an account, what you will do is click on login. You'll enter your credentials, as you can see, an email address and a password. Or if you haven't yet, what you will do is you will click here to register. And once you click here to register, you'll enter your name, middle initial, last name, and then it'll ask you for your email address. You'll duplicate that email address, and then it'll ask you for your password, and then you'll duplicate that password, and then you click on register. Once you have registered, right, then it will take you into the site, and I'll do that at this time. So you will log in. And this is the screen. This is the information that you will see. You have several things that you will have access to: apply for a new license, renew a license, file a complaint, and this is different things that you may need to do, print a pocket card. But the key area here is that we want to figure out how to apply for a new license. Okay. So I'm going to take you through the steps. I've created some dummy accounts that would help us understand this process a little better. So the step is you will click on from the top, because this can become a very large, if you manage several different companies, or you're trying to have, you may have several different businesses, this could get quite lengthy. And so it brings you right down to the apply for a new license. If I click on this, and then it brings you to the screen, which asks you to verify this business. We want to verify first if the business is in the system. And so you would select the type of organization, and you will enter the EIN number or the social security number. And then you will click on the verify, and then it will bring up the information. In this case, this business existed. And so we're going to walk through the process of you applying for a license. So the first time you come to the screen, it's going to ask you for some business information. You'll indicate what type of organization, in this case, a sole proprietorship. And then it will ask you for some information regarding the person applying, the business name, the phone number, EIN number, which you would have selected up front, would then be entered here. The status of the types of businesses or business categories, business owned by, what's a minority owned business, none, single mother, veteran, or women's owned businesses. So these are some of the categories that we track for business entities. And then you will enter who you would like as a contact, like who would be your contact person. It does not have to be the business owner. It could be someone representing the business or someone working at the business that is authorized to act on behalf of the business in matters in terms of as a contact individual. Okay. At this time, it is crucial that you enter. If you do not have a trade name, what we do is we ask you to go ahead and enter just the same name, the business name, whatever that business name is, that you enter that. Or if you have registered with the Lieutenant Governor's office and you have a trade name other than the name that you would, let's say if it's in the case of a sole proprietorship, you will enter it here. As you can see, several trade names have been selected, already entered here. Then you will, let me see. So then they will ask you for the address for the business, and you will fill that out here, okay? And this takes into consideration, just so that I can disambiguate it, this takes into consideration that sometimes a company may not, main headquarters, let's say, may not reside in the same place where the business activity will be taking place. So for instance, if I'm a company and my main office is in St. Thomas, I could enter that information here for the business address and so on. And then we go next. Then in this next area, it seeks to identify who are the officers or the individuals responsible for the license. To add an officer, in the case of if you're applying for an LLC or whatever, you will click add officer, and it'll give you the demographic screen. It'll tell you the business name, the name of the individual, first name and last, date of birth, your position or title, place of birth, social security number, and then your physical address and mailing address. And then there's always asked the question of all that most people always ask about is this one. It says, have you ever been convicted of a felony or crime involving moral turpitude? If you have a criminal history record, please indicate yes and give some detail of it, because if you choose no, we're still going to submit this for a criminal history check. And if it comes back, it could be grounds for us to deny because you falsely represented information or misinformation in your license. So we do not necessarily invalidate a license application because someone has a criminal history. We evaluate that to make an appropriate determination. Okay, so once you have entered the name of the individual and or individuals who are responsible for this business, you will then click next, and then we get into the tax information. It's a certification that you have to make as to your tax filing status. If you're outside of the territory, first time coming in, applying for a license, you would indicate so, and yes, as a yes or no, and then you will, so if I say yes, then it'll give me some information and give you the affidavit form that you can fill out. If you say no, then you'll ask what type of tax filings do you normally do, and then you will save and go next. So you have already established your location. When it gets to this point, you can either, I'd like to walk you through this again. It's the add location. Now, this is an opportunity for you to have and indicate to us where you seek to conduct business. Now, why is that important? You can have multiple locations throughout the island, and you could submit a business license application with multiple locations and licenses at all of these locations. You don't have to do each individual license application if you intend to conduct various business activities at various locations. You can do it all from here for this one. So in this case, you will select the location. You will then select the mailing address that you would want. And then they'll ask you some information about your business. Do you own the premises? Do you have employees? And why we ask, do you own the premises? Because if you're leasing from someone, we also want to know that that is a licensed business entity that you're leasing from. And then one of the critical areas, folks, always take some time and give a detailed description of what it is that you are hoping to be able to do. I can't overemphasize how important this is in the application process. So if you're doing a new application, take some time and give details. Express to us, if you're doing a restaurant, maybe you want to say that you're doing a takeout restaurant, if you're going to be serving fast food, maybe you identify some of the items that you may be specializing in. And why is that important? To someone also on the search application, on the search side of the website, maybe looking for a specific type of cuisine or something special, something specific. The details that you put here are searchable, and individuals will be able to search on those activities to identify your business in the future. And it also guides the licensing officer with the ability to know and to confirm what kind of business license category would be appropriate for your operation. Okay, so once you do that, you submit it. It creates the license location, and then you say next. The next screen comes up with what we call the license type screen. We are working on a process right now to from this location to be able to have a full listing of the license categories so that you can review and identify by the specific license category what type of activities you may be interested in. But to be able to move forward, what you'll do is you'll say add license to this location. So when you click on add license to this location, then it brings up an opportunity for you to select which name do you want to put this license category on. In this case, we will select John Doe, or you could do Jane Doe or John Doe Enterprises as the trade name, let's say, right? You will then have an option to select either it's a business license or board certification. In this conversation, I want to let you know that we're dealing with the business license side, not necessarily the board side. But if you are, and the boards mean like if you're a construction contractor and you have been vetted by the board, you can use this to apply because that means your record would already be in the system. But let's deal with the business license side. That's non-board, non-professional licenses. And so there's a list here, and I kid you not, the list is about 600 license categories now. And we are always consistently making changes, adding, removing, verifying those categories over time, where we see there's like one license category, one individual within the territory, or one business in the territory. You know, we look at those very carefully from time to time, and we always make appropriate changes. Let me pause here to say that based on this list is not intended to be exclusionary. So that if there is a particular area that having reviewed the list of license categories, you see that it doesn't have something that's appropriate for you, you can select the first one, which says business not otherwise classified. And that's a cue to our team to take a look at this closer, to look at the description further, and to gain some kind of understanding from you as to what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And we have the capacity under the authority of law to create new license categories as necessary as long as it's legally permissible in the US Virgin Islands, we can create a new license category that gets you into the particular activity that you seek to perform. All right. So in this case, you will select a business license category. Let me just choose, I'll choose retail shop and store. So all right, so I'll choose retail shop here. And then once you select the license category or license categories, whatever it is that you're interested in, you'll click save. Then it takes you to the other screen. And that screen is a screen that shows you the license categories that you have selected. You have an option of removing them or going back and adding additional categories at this point, or changing that whole scheme. And then once you're satisfied with what you've selected, you click next. This gives you the screen where you can review all of what you have selected so far in terms of the information that you've put for your address, the physical location, your name, or the names of the officers, etc. And gives you an opportunity to go back and edit some of them as you go through the process. And then you will go next. Okay. Now this is after you do the review, then it brings you to the payment screen, and it tells you the cost of the licenses, the payment information, and as you can see, this is an existing application, and so there's some limitations, but it will give you your cost for the total number of individuals, which is $12 per individual for the police record check. DPNR zoning, it's $20 per location. And then the total license fees. There's also not included here is an application fee, a standard application fee, as indicated in what I read to you in the code in the beginning, a $50 application fee for the standard processing, non-refundable application fee for the standard processing of the business license. All right, so you've seen the screen that shows you all of the areas. These are all the categories that you'll be applying for, and it gives you an opportunity to pay by credit card. If that's the case, you will enter that information here, or you can pay at office, and then you will confirm, right? You will confirm by select the acknowledgement by selecting the checkbox, and then you will say submit. Once you submit the application, you will get a control number. I will urge you, write this number down, copy it, save it somewhere. Certainly you can always log into your account to gain it, but whenever you interact with the department, that number is a vital number to have on hand at any time. All right. So the licensing officer, the receptionist, or the cashier, whoever you interact with, they will ask you, well, what's your control number? This is the quickest way for us to gain access to your record, to your account. It helps us find your information quickly, and that way we can work on it. And so you can also take this moment to print your application by clicking on the print application. Right there, you have completed your submission of your license application. Okay, so once you've submitted your application, you can go back to your it defaults to my user home. But you can go back to your user home, and when you go back to your user home, it actually shows you the records that you have submitted. It also shows you here, and this is critical, it shows you who your licensing officer is. It says assigned to, and in this case, you will see Sandra Tyson. And then it gives you some dashboard information for each of the license, control numbers. And as it could be a little bit confusing on this screen, but if this was the first instance, it will just be this control number. But because I have used this on a number of occasions previously, it brought back up the record, the history of this application, okay? And so what we're looking for is the pending sections that shows what can be done. It also, this is like a dashboard, so it actually changes color with the approvals and it changes status. So you will be able to see as the license is moved through the process, you get to see the various agencies that do approvals. It comes through and at this point, you'll be able to determine the progress towards completion. I want to draw your attention at where my mouse is. There's a section that says edit payment, edit contacts, disassociate business, and manage documents. Once you receive the checklist, which I'll share with you in a moment, it will tell you all the documents that you need to submit to the department in order to complete this application. If you have selected a trade name or you have selected, let's say, an LLC, when you go to the Manage Documents section, there are a number of documents types that you would then select. So you would select from this drop-down menu, document type, and you will select whatever document it is, let's say a photo ID. You will put a description, and this one may say, if it's several individuals, you may say Horace Graham ID, and then you select choose file, and then it takes you to your computer, your phone, your screen, wherever where you can select the file, and then you attach the document. That uploaded document goes into here. The licensing officer, as you saw up front, will have access to it to review it and to confirm if it is in order. If it is, then we just move forward with the process. Okay. And so here you have submitted a new business license application, and you have updated through the document management portal, you have submitted the appropriate paperwork. Now, you will not know, unless you have been doing this for a long time, you will not know what documents may be required of you, but suffice it to say that Ms. Sandra Tyson, in this case, as a licensing officer, will be contacting you within 24 to 48 hours to have that conversation with you regarding your business license application. What we realize is that sometimes the selection of a license category is quite nuanced. Individuals may be thinking about what they want to do and how they can do it, and the licensing officer, we still want to have that. We still have that personal touch where a licensing officer will be contacting you to discuss that with you. I want to share with you at this time very quickly. Let me see. I see that there are 2 messages in the chat. Okay, somebody did ask the question if you can see the license categories before the start of the business. You should see that in the website. We are uploading a listing of all those categories with the appropriate description. At the present time, you cannot see that list unless you're in the application. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share another screen with you, and that screen should have the license application checklist. Okay. Please let me know if it is visible. All right, so this is the standard checklist, and I just wanted you to be able to see on that checklist that there are a number of a bit of information that we ask and that we share with you as to your obligation. The one area that you have where you've already given your description, but we ask you to share that with us. In transmitting this to you, we will enter the description that you have placed in your application and ask you to confirm it, okay? So in this case, they will share with you the license categories, the cost of the license categories. They'll have here the control number that you have from the application previously submitted. We also have the application fee that will be noted there, which is the $50 application fee. or if the case of an expediting fee, it would be $200. Then we will list out all the areas that you have to do. Now, this is not required for everyone. All of these areas here, it depends on the type of license. They will indicate various of these. Typically, it's the police record check, it's the zoning review, it's the fire service, or the Department of Health. These are the four main areas. And then obviously in every instance, our enforcement division has an opportunity to interview you for compliance, to verify the activities that you say that you'll be doing. Depend on what type of license you're applying for, they may also visit you at your place of business or your intended place of business to review further on site or in situ. You will need to show proof of ownership or the authority that you have to utilize a specific address or location for the business license. I can't overemphasize the importance of this. This can be done by a lease agreement. It could be a letter. If you don't have a lease, we're not requiring you that you must demonstrate that you have a lease or a rental agreement. It could be a letter from the person authorizing you to utilize the location. And it typically and should come from the individual who owns the property or has demonstrated rights of ownership or rights of usage to the property. We also verify the lease agreements to make sure that the person granting permission has the authority to do so. So if you're getting permission from someone who is renting or leasing a property, and the lease agreement says that that person can only sublet with permission of the landlord, then we also want to see the letter from the landlord saying that you have authorization to do so. So we take that very carefully, we proceed in that area very cautiously, so as not to violate the rights of the individuals holding the property. So you can do that with a deed of property tax bill if you are the owner of the property. Then it depends on what you apply for. If you apply for a corporation, we'll be asking you for your certificates of formation authority that may be granted by the Lieutenant Governor's office, certificate of good standing, trade name certificate if you apply for one, articles of incorporation, a resident agent form or corporate resolution, or certificate of incumbency. And that's basically for individuals who may not be, let's say, listed as one of the corporation's principals, but the corporation have granted authority under this license to operate or to engage on behalf of the company. And so they will do a corporate resolution. If it is a limited liability company or a limited liability partnership or any of the other areas, there may be some further documentation that we require. And so we will identify. Now, when you get this checklist, you don't get all of this information. The licensing officer edits this and streamlines it to suit just your specific concern. So if you are a sole proprietorship, as this application is, then none of these other things will matter. Only if you have a trade name, you would then present that trade name to us and the other supporting documents. Again, if you're alcohol-based license, maybe terms and conditions. If you're hemp retailer, maybe their hemp terms and conditions. Depends on if you're a car rental or a trucking or limousine company. We may ask for vehicle insurance and registration information and insurance, general liability insurance, and so on. But key to this section is we always ask for your photo ID and ask for you to provide us with your EIN number if you have one. And then you will have your contact information. This application or this checklist has to be signed by an individual authorized to act on behalf of the company. And so typically we ask for the managing member, the owner, the president, the secretary or treasurer. And so you put the name, print your name, sign, and date. This has to be returned to the licensing officer. You can email it to them, or better yet, you can scan this once you sign it and upload it to the website through the portal that was demonstrated earlier. And so this is basically the steps. Once you've gotten this information into us, we then proceed with processing and clearing your application and issuing the license. Let me go back quickly. Let me go back to our website. All right, so that we can share that when you submit this application, you've selected pay at office. If you do so, and you submit the application with pay at office, you need to pay that within 5 days, within 5 to 10 days. Otherwise, an application that doesn't have payment will be immediately invalidated, or within 10 days, that less than 10 days, that license application may be invalidated, and you will have to resubmit the application in order to get through the process. And non-payment of an application means that the application cannot proceed. But if you submit with credit card, or if you submit pay at office and you show up and you make that payment immediately, we can proceed with the application. I would recommend, though, that once you've submitted the application and you chose pay at office, that once you get the checklist, that's the perfect time to come in and resolve the payment situation so that we can move forward with the application. Okay. So that's the process of applying for a new business license, and understanding that there's other areas that other agencies that may have to contact you, or that you may be required to contact in order to complete the application. So that's the process. You have submitted your application. You now have your management portal where you can manage the issuing, the uploading of documents, changing of contacts, editing payment, etc. That can be all done from your portal, and monitoring the progress as it moves towards completion. So what if you are an existing business and you just want to renew your license? Also, may I ask any questions at this point?
No questions, you can continue.
No questions? Okay, so let me walk you through very quickly then. You're an existing business, and here's the challenge. Sometimes people they would either come to the department and ask for one of our licensing officers to assist in the renewal of a license, and that's no problem. We will assist you in that process. But what we would like to encourage individuals is to gain access to the website and prepare to renew the license electronically. And let me show you very quickly what are some of the steps that you would need, that you can do to renew this license. So I'm gonna log in, make sure I have the right one. And so I have another business that I want to renew. And let's see, I'm gonna click on renew license. And then I'm gonna say, it will take, because it's a large field, it'll take you down to the bottom, and I'll say renew this license. The same process, I will enter the EIN number, or the social security number, and then I'll choose this renew. Now, if this is the first time that you're renewing the business, or if you had applied for the license and it was approved, that information will actually show up on the user home tab out here. It will actually show up right here. It'll show up right here, and it will give you an opportunity to what we call an express renew. And that's for any application, any control number that is current, it'll give you an express renew that literally just takes you straight to the payment. But I'm showing you in this process, I'm going to go back into the renewal portal because I came out, how simple it is to renew your business license. So you enter your organization type, your social security number or your EIN, and it takes you to this review page. On this review page, it shows, sorry, let me slow down. It'll show you the information. You should always verify this to make sure that the information here is correct. Okay, it's in terms of the contact information. And there's some areas that you cannot edit, but those that you can, you'll click on edit business and you can make those changes, contact people, etc. Okay. Then it'll take you down, you scroll down because you're reviewing to see if the information is still valid. Make sure you always have an updated telephone number and email address because that's something that will always be helpful. Our team may need to contact you at any time, and annually you can review, or at any time you can go into the system and update that contact information. Okay, so here we are. We see that the license category for this individual is a 302B, and this is just because of a sample, but it automatically tells you that it's trying to renew this license from 10/1/2022 to 10/31/2023. It gives you the period of renewal once you submit it, okay? What you do here is you will also have to select a taxpayer authorization or notification authorization, and basically Title 12, Section 452, it requires all businesses, and there's some exclusions, with a gross income of $50,000 or greater. It requires them to authorize the Internal Revenue Bureau to check to see if they are in that particular category, because it requires them to have multiple forms of payment. Okay, so this is what this whole section is about. So you have, in order to proceed, you have to select this, and we're asking you to tell us what forms of payment do you accept, right? So you will select all the forms of payment. That's upon renewal, all the forms of payment that you accept, and then you click Go Next. This is your payment screen. It tells you your license fee, tells you the license, the location. If you have multiple locations, you will see multiple location information. If you have multiple categories, it will show you multiple categories. But it'll tell you your license fees, if there are any penalty fees, it will show it here. If you do not renew your license timely, let me sort of share this with you very quickly. If you do not renew your license prior to the expiration, and the system calculates at 10% per month for each month that you are in violation, pursuant to the penalty section of Title 27 VI code. Okay, so you want to renew at least you can renew up to 2 months, 60 days prior to the expiration of the license. The renewal portal will be available for you to be able to renew. If you try doing it 3 months out, I think it will not accept your renewal, but 60 days prior to, you can log into the system the way I just showed you and present your renewal. You can pay by credit card. You'll enter your information here, pay at office, and then you can say the acknowledgement again, and you will say, you click on it and then you say submit application. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, we have just completed the renewal of your license. The control number tells us that you are that's your business license control number. Again, you copy that, you save that. It's only valid for this license processing year. Next year, when you come back to do your renewal, because we believe that you will be a long-standing corporate citizen, that you will work and you will prosper in the Virgin Islands once you've obtained your business license. And so you basically copy this control number, save it somewhere, print your application. If you print your application and save it, it'll come up as a PDF, and you can print it here, save it as a PDF, and retain it for your records. This information is something that we then take and process your license renewal. It automatically submits it to us. If you've selected pay by credit card and you enter your credit card information, we will go ahead and run your credit card for the fees and send you your application. Okay, and so there is the renewal of a license. We recognize, especially during COVID, that there was that businesses and prior to COVID, we came out of a hurricane. Then we entered into COVID. Businesses were struggling, and so sometimes people end up with certain circumstances. Maybe a business really shut down and couldn't operate. Well, there are methods that we ask you to to do, you must notify us of the condition of your business. Let us know where you are, what's happening. If you have shuttered your business temporarily, you can come in and ask to place your business on hold. Now, please make sure that you have truly shuttered the business or that you've temporarily inactivated the business. If that's the case, you can inactivate your license for up to a year. And then if the matters have not been resolved, you can come back in and let us know you'd like to extend that for another year. Because we have the requirement of issuing these licenses within 10 days, we recommend that the best thing for you to do, if you're not going to be using the license, terminate the license. And whenever you're ready for it, you can come in and reapply. That way you guarantee that there'll be no penalty fees assessed against you. And if you do it timely, you can get in and get through the process relatively quickly. Okay, so the license has been renewed. You have your control number. Unfortunately, many individuals may have, and it could be fortunate for them, but some individuals may determine that they want to put their business licenses on hold or terminate the license. What do we have as a way of assisting there? Well, the law says that you should write to us and let us know that you would like to terminate. That's one method. Or what we can do is we can provide you with a business license termination form, hold or termination form that you can fill out, give some details regarding the business, let us know if it's a termination or a hold. If you close the business, you can also let us know why and give a brief explanation. It helps us understand what's really happening in the industry. And then you tell me what categories that you're seeking. You may not decide to close the entire business. You may just be terminating a particular category of activity, and you could list that here, sign, and in the appropriate sections, fill out the form and transmit this back to us, and we'll be able to work with you. Here's what's important. Please, if you happened on hard time as a business and you need some consideration, please do not just let your license go into delinquency. Contact the department, prepare to put the license on hold, or if you have been delinquent for any period, we may be able to, number one, give some consideration on the penalty fees. You can write and ask for consideration. If no consideration is granted, we can also grant you good terms for payment of the fees. We give you what you call a payment or settlement agreement or a payment plan to help you pay down your past due over a period of a few months. And if we discuss with you, find out what it is that you may be able to afford, and we'll be able to work with you so that you can come into compliance. Once you sign that agreement, we don't wait until the fees are all paid up to issue your license. We issue the business license so you can get on to making money and paying down whatever debt has been incurred during the process of the license delinquency. I think that is the substance of what I want to share with you today. Let me see if I can get back to our. Let me see if I can get back to our presentation here. Yes, so we talked about the business license renewal.
So we have a question, Director Graham.
Yes.
What business has changed from an office location to a home location?
Perfect. Thank you so much for that question. Any change in business activity, the same way, if you've changed a location, then you need to apply for the license at that new location. So a change of location, though, doesn't mean that you pay the additional fees for licensure. So let me walk you through that very quickly. If you decide to change location, the same steps that you took in applying for a license, you will indicate that you are applying for a license at that location. Some of the activities, please be aware that some of the activities cannot be transmitted to home. So if you have a retail shop and store, that is, if you have a store, let's say you're selling widgets of some kind, you cannot simply say, this is a retail shop, I'm going to move that to my home. That would present a challenge for zoning, right? So that a business or A retail store would have to be in a commercial business or appropriate zone, okay? So in that case, we have what we call mobile licenses, so that the person may say, well, I'm no longer selling these widgets or these types of items from a store, but I will go around and sell to my clients. And so in so doing, you can apply for, let's say, an itinerant vendor license. We do not, as long as the license is not expired, we will simply charge you the fee for the administrative cost. That's the application fee of $50. Zoning always have to review that application. Depends on what the activity is. It may require health or fire. Those fees would have to be paid, but the license fee will be transferred to that other location if it is the same activity. If it's a different activity, we may be able to prorate the fees and be able to reduce the cost of the new application. You'll probably just pay the difference in cost of license categories. Okay. Yeah, so you can change the location, but you would have to you'd have to enter that location, enter the license category on that location, and move forward. Once the licensing officer contacts you or the enforcement officer, you let them know that it's the same business, but you're changing location, and we'll move forward with that. Many individuals, and germane to this same question, many individuals may seek to do several things. They may decide, starting out as a sole proprietorship, and realize that they may want to, having learned the industry and understanding risk and other factors, they may ask to update their license to an LLC. The same thing applies. An LLC, however, or corporation is a new entity. Your fire certificate that you had as a sole proprietorship will not be valid under the LLC or under the corporation. Your health inspection will not be valid because it has to be for that specific business. And so you may have changed. So what we say to individuals, maybe when you're prepared to do your renewal during that first year, you should submit the new documents. Take your time, go through, get all your documents in order, and then submit the new documents and do the new application so that it coincides with the renewal of your license. That's one option that can be exercised. Okay. Thanks for those questions. Any other questions, please feel free to ask. And we also have, and we spoke about the termination of your license. Certainly, we really do not like when you have to terminate, that means that you don't come and see us any longer. But we really would like you to do so. If you are ceasing the business activity, do not let it just lapse, because we end up charging you penalty fees. That may be something that you'll not be happy about. Okay, so there ends the substance of my presentation, and I stand available to share with you. Again, my name is Horace Graham, the Director of the Division of Licensing, and today's presentation has been on working with an existing business license, how to navigate the DLCA.vi.gov, and I trust that the information presented would be helpful to you as you work on both applying for new licenses and renewing your business. Thank you so much.
Okay, so just to give the audience a few more minutes, if they have any questions, they can place them directly in the chat. I would like to say the VI SBDC has so much more in store for USVI small business owners. You can visit our website at www.visbdc.org. You can download the VI SBDC app on your mobile device from the appropriate app store. Like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google My Business, and you can subscribe to the VI SBDC YouTube channel for new uploads of our on-demand webinars. So we have a question in the chat, and I'm seeing.
Okay, ask away. Let's see.
Are you seeing the chat directly, Graham?
Yes. Is the itinerant license, the question is asked, is the itinerant license process different? Well, it's not different. I mean, it's the same process that you have to go through. But if you are truly an itinerant vendor, meaning that you are not setting up any specific place for any length of time, it is no zoning is required for an itinerant vendor, right? So if you're mobile, then the one area that we will forego is the $20 for zoning, but it's a $65 license, and you basically enter the same information in the portal. If you are an itinerant vendor that's a sole proprietorship, then basically your photo ID and your EIN and confirmation of whatever address that you put on the license, that you have the authority to utilize that address, and we should be good to go.
Okay, question answered. Don't see any new questions at this time.
Well, let me just say, though, that if you have any questions, feel free to contact us at, certainly you could go through your partners and support through SBDC, but please feel free to contact us at telephone numbers at the department is 713-3522. That's 713. Go back one slide. I can make sure that you have that right there. 713-3522 or 713 DLCA on the island of St. Croix on St. Thomas. 714 DLCA, that's the St. Thomas St. John district. And you can email us at me at horace.graham@dlca.vi.gov, or you can visit our website, and we have a contact list where all of our licensing officers and all our team members are located. So www.dlca.vi.gov, our directory is right there. You can contact any of us seeking assistance for the process of your business license.
So here's another question. Suppose you have a business license, but need to do a different type of business. Do you have to do a new license?
No, so that's what I explained. Beautiful. Listen, these are excellent questions, and so please do not hesitate to shoot those questions out. So perfect. You have a business. In this case, let's say you are a business consultant. You no longer want to, or let's say you want to add to that. You want to open a retail store, using that as an example. All you do is you go into the same, you say apply for license, and you select the location and then enter the license category that you would want to add. Now, if it is an additional, if it's the same location and it's just an additional license category, it moves through. If you did your transactions recently, then we will have most of your supporting documents. If it's been a while since you have done any like a new application with us, then we may ask you for some corroborating documents, like a certificate of good standing from the Lieutenant Governor's office if you're a corporation or LLC. We may ask you to update your photo IDs and so on. So the checklist will come to you asking you to provide some supporting documents. But yeah, you basically will have to just add the license category and move forward. And it would be a new license category. So you will say apply for new license, and it will bring you to the section where you will add that category to the existing location or a new location that you may have to create. Depends on what you're doing. If you change your locations also, like I said earlier, you need to apply for that new location. All right, I hope that was helpful. I see another question. Yeah.
One more. Are there restrictions on what type of business can be itinerant?
Well, itinerant vendor, thank you. That's a very good question. An itinerant vendor license is really given for, consider it a retail license, all right? So that's why it's called itinerant vendor. So it's imagine if you had a store, but you don't have a storefront, you want to sell products to individuals. Yeah, that's the idea. If you are doing, let's say, business management, you can do that. You can do that at anything as a home-based business or in a physical location. So itinerant really is about retail. So if you're selling some kind of product, if you're doing any other service, typically there's a license that matches that service. So for instance, if you're a carpenter, if you're a mason, a painter, a drywall installer, if you are a entertainer like a clown or some sort of a comic, we have licenses for that entertainment. If you're a singer, a painter, we have licenses for that. And when I say painter, I mean both fine art and commercial or residential painting. So there's a number of license categories. Like I tell you, there's about 600 license categories that you can choose from that will help you identify the type of business activity that you're interested in. All right. Well, thank you so much for that question. Any other questions? Okay.
What if you're, sorry, one more.
Yeah.
What if you're doing business online only? Do you still need a business license?
The answer to that is if you're in the United States Virgin Islands and you are conducting business, whether you're doing it online or you're doing it in person, you are required to have a business license. So that there is a license category that we have for businesses that may seek to do web-based activities. So you can apply for the retail sales internet license. And so you can apply for that and obtain the license. So if you're doing advertising, marketing, internet, you can apply for that. And yes, so if your business is registered in the U.S. Virgin Islands, you sign up with the Lieutenant Governor's office, you have a trade name. And let me pause then to say how critical it is for you to be able to do that. Imagine if you started a line, let's say a clothing line, and you say, well, I'm going to just launch a website. The astute person would look at that, see that they like what you're doing. That person, if you don't have that name copyrighted or you don't have a license with a trade name for that, there's nothing stopping someone from going to the Lieutenant Governor's office and purchasing that name. And do you know that they can stop you from using that information, from using that designation in the U.S. Virgin Islands? You couldn't market that. And that person could essentially take that brand over. So critical to you, whether if you're doing business where you're using a name and you're trying to do sell products and do other things, but you want to be known by a particular way, please visit the Lieutenant Governor's office, come and get a business license. It can only benefit you. And then plus it makes you a very good corporate citizen. You are generating income in the U.S. Virgin Islands, whether it's from, in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And I think the critical part is that you are also contributing to the betterment of the community in which you are actively participating. Okay, so yes, you do need a license.
Okay, that's.
Come on, everybody! Don't everyone speak at the same time. Yeah. Please be advised that we also have the DLCA has we have a program called Talk DLCA. I'm not trying to usurp SBDC, but I wanted to let folks know that these kind of questions, if you have questions that you want to ask or you have concerns or whatever, every Wednesday, I think it's about noon, but the information goes out on Facebook and on our social media platforms, and it lets folks know that you can join in at any time during that Talk DLC, and whatever information that we have at the time, we share it, and then whatever information or questions you have, we can answer. You can call us or you can come live with us on Talk DLC and get your questions answered. I saw another question came up.
Are there restrictions for selling homemade items for consumption from your home?
Yes, there is significant restrictions. We have the General Manufacturing Food and Kindred Products License that requires the Virgin Islands Department of Health to vet and verify what you're doing. If you are selling any item for consumption, it is in your best interest to have the Department of Health review your review what you're doing, make sure that the space is safe, the space used to create or to produce that. And especially if you're going to sell it and make it available to people for consumption, you want to be certified. You want to be vetted by the Virgin Islands Department of Health. So yes, there are restrictions. They are not necessarily DLCA restrictions, but if you receive what we call a mobile refreshment license or mobile refreshment stand, the idea is that we can't convert a home into a retail location. So you may be able to apply for a mobile refreshment stand where you can take your product manufactured at home or an itinerant, depends if it's not food stuff, if it's beverages, you can do a mobile refreshment stand and sell it to your community. But you may choose a particular location, get permission from the owner of that location or the Virgin Islands Police Department for a placement permit. If it's along the thoroughfare, the roadside, you select the location and see if you can get permission to set up at that location to sell your wares. Okay. So that's basically it for me, if there are no other questions.
Okay, so now we have comments with everyone thanking you for a great webinar. So
thank you. You've been an awesome audience and very easy to hang with. So thank you so much.
Yes, I'll just take this time to mention a few of our upcoming webinars. We have on October 17th, what is PTAC? On October 18th, we have SBA with Webinar Tuesday, how to secure a SBA guaranteed loan for your business. On October 25th, we have a USVI veteran focused webinar, and it's entitled Financing Your Venture. On October 26th, we have Don't Lose Another Customer. So that's focused on customer relations and customer service. On October 27th, we have Score with content marketing, what to say and how to say it. So with that being said, thank you for attending, and we want to definitely thank our resource partner, the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs, for this opportunity for small business owners to connect with you live. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you everyone. Do enjoy the rest of your day.